Guys, what's up? This is the Football Rivals podcast, episode 3. We are back after taking a week off. We have Fry with us, and we will have Skip Lloyd with us all day, putting his little input in that, as Fry says, silky smooth voice.
Hello.
But
all right, just got the link up, so we're good there.
Okay, cool. So the podcast, they're not getting as much traction as the games are right now, but they're getting about 50 views per, where the games are getting 500 to 1,000. So
hey, setting a precedent is important.
Yeah,
you know,
I would much rather have the games take traction than
doing this early. Everyone kind of getting a feel for things.
Yep.
So,
and it's weird how we came back from another league's podcast, and it feels which it is brand new, but it feels brand new, starting all over again. So
yeah,
but
it is a whole lot.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a whole lot to bring on. This is the part that I enjoy a lot. The parts of the league, so I'm excited about this, and then continuing in to this week's games, which I'm sure we'll dive into a whole lot of the upsets and the crazy turmoil that happened in the rankings.
Yeah, week 13 was crazy. I think I had to by the time Skip got around to doing the Sunday night game, they had all happened already, and it was like 5 upsets that occurred, 5 or 6, and it was like Michigan fell. It wasn't a big one, but Bama beat Florida. Iowa beat Michigan.
Well, I think Michigan. Yeah, Iowa beat
Michigan.
Yeah, they kept Michigan's really high-powered offense down. There were so many, and I remember
Oklahoma lost.
Was blown away by a bunch of them, and I don't want to overlook any, but yeah, Iowa upsetting Michigan was big because Michigan was number 2.
Yep.
And I feel like they only put up 10 points, something like that. It was pretty
substantial showing
from Iowa's defense. Excuse me. Oklahoma losing to TCU was quite big. Nebraska had a tough loss. They almost came back on and almost won.
Yeah, so on the screen you can see Michigan lost 6-13.
Let's
see. Hide us.
Let's see if I can be an old man putting my glasses on. All right, now I can see everything. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So Ohio State losing.
No, Ohio State.
I'm sorry, not Ohio State. I'm sorry. Oklahoma losing.
This is the new top 25.
Yeah. So Oklahoma's loss to TCU was big. Michigan's loss to Iowa was big. We looked at Alabama upsetting Florida, finally looking like Alabama for the first time. Yeah. We recently had Kentucky beating LSU, which was kind of big for the SEC.
Yeah, that's who it was. I couldn't remember who beat LSU. It was Kentucky.
Yeah.
They fell 13 or 16 spots.
Yeah. And A&M already had their game for this week. A very ugly, hard-fought game against Missouri last night at Mizzou.
Yep.
14-0. We can talk about that game later on once we get through last week's because it's the first official game of next week.
Yeah, so you see right here, which is it's funny that Texas Tech is number 3 because Texas Tech fell to Oklahoma in the first called game by Skip Lloyd.
It was a doozy
for the league period. So,
yep.
That was a great game. Great call, by the way, Skip.
Thank you much. Thank you.
Nailing it every game so far. You've done what, 3? Yep. 2, 3?
It all bleeds together after a moment.
Yeah, did A&M, Auburn, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech.
Yep.
And then I can't remember the other one.
And look at Army hanging around at number 6.
I was just gonna say Army is to me maybe the biggest surprise if you were going to say an underdog Cinderella at this point in the season for Army to be in the top 10 at all is incredible.
Yeah. And they've been there pretty much the whole season.
It's crazy because they're not running the prototypical Army option.
No, they're actually running UCLA's playbook.
But despite that, they still have the top running team. Offense in the college.
I'm only benefiting from seeing the games that I've called, in full end to end. So I've seen some games outside of the ones I've called start to finish, but not to the extent everyone else has. is the option game this year as tragic as the 3 games I've called, or have those just been incredible defensive performances?
The option, it can run, it can work. It just really depends on the playmakers in the backfield or how fast the defense is flying around. Case in point, the A&M game last night, they were running the read option quite a lot, and the defense was crashing on Hobbs every single time. And McNamara made the right call and pulled and was getting yards. The quarterback won't get as much yards as a running back, but he was still able to get yards. But certain quarterbacks are making the right decisions, and in that case, it's working. But if they're not, defenses are not forgiving.
Yeah, it's been particularly tough sledding for the option game in the couple games I've been fortunate enough to call so far.
Yeah, and actually Auburn is running one of the better option offenses. That quarterback that they have is really good. He's going to be, I believe he's only a sophomore or junior also. So
yeah, I believe he's a junior.
Yeah, so he's going to be around for at least another year. So he'll definitely, if he keeps playing like he is, he'll definitely be in our first pro draft. So
nice.
There's a little cheat for anybody that wants to be an owner.
The Auburn QB.
Glenn Quinn, is that who it is? The
Glenn
Auburn
Quinn.
QB? Yes, Glenn Quinn. I remember he had quite a he threw the dot to John Jacob Jingleheimer.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Johnson.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. We've started with the ability of you, or with having you call some games. That we've had the ability to make some shorts now.
I was just noticing that great performance on the shorts too.
Yeah,
all getting some very quick views.
Yeah, they're all pushing 1,000 right now, so it's
nice.
They've been pretty proactive. But Southern Miss actually has. We'll see. If we get to the awards section of the previous podcast here, the previous video. His last name is Walter, maybe. Anyway, he's like the number 1 quarterback right now, and he's got Southern Miss at number 18 now. So, and I don't know how Ole Miss is there at 17.
Big drop from LSU.
Yeah, there you go. LSU fell 13 spots.
8-3. I didn't look, but where's Tennessee sitting at?
They're not in the top 25.
Oh, okay. They fell.
And it's funny because we'll go ahead and say right now, you guys have pretty much clinched a spot in the SEC championship, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Tennessee more than likely will be who you play.
Yeah, which would be nice.
Yeah, it'll be a nice, like you said, it'll be a nice setup for a revenge game.
Yeah, they beat us pretty. Their defense was pretty solid against us earlier in the season, maybe week 3 or 4, and they beat us in a very ugly game. So looking forward to going back with a different playbook we moved to a handful of weeks ago, and offense and defense it's clicking a lot more. Our defense is pretty nasty.
Yeah, I believe they moved from Ohio State. They were running Ohio State's offense, and then now they're running basically just a base spread offense. So,
yep.
Or no. Sorry, you were running Michigan's offense. You're running it was a multiple Michigan offense, and now would put you back to the spread. And I mean, it sucks for you because most like the offense is based on making the defense take the bait of the running back.
Yeah.
But McNamara is he's doing great. So I wanted to say something about him. He's going to be a great quarterback to see where he transfers, because you guys have had a human.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a recruit coming in, Kai Cash, for A&M. A&M's loaded right now for the offseason, by the way.
Yeah, McNamara has played very well.
And he's a junior.
The majority of the season. He's got a very strong arm, very accurate throws, and he moves well. He had a rough one this past week against Missouri, 4 turnovers, 3 picks, and a fumble. But he also ran for the only 2 touchdowns of the game. The guy puts up stats. So
I heard Bama's interested. I heard Bama has reached out to him. So
sure would
be interesting to see if he stays in the SEC or moves outside the SEC.
Inside SEC competition.
He was
Bama
great.
Needs some help.
Though. He was great. I mean, he had that shot to John Moore.
Yeah, he's been very good all year long. But he's getting older. Time to move on out. Maybe he'll enter the draft.
And then Illinois is still hanging around. UAB and Memphis are still hanging around. You can see there.
How was Wisconsin 23 at 6-5?
I don't know. Obviously, this is all computer. If this was me, they wouldn't be in there at all. So,
you mean the coaches? This is the coaches poll.
Yeah, this is the coaches poll. That's what I'm
bias, saying. Incredible bias.
So,
yeah.
Apparently,
they must be doing well in conference.
Most likely, we'll see in a little bit. We'll see in a minute. But there you go. Tennessee actually must have lost this week, so they've been dropped out.
Nebraska, another one.
Yeah, Nebraska's in shambles right now.
Their quarterback being hurt.
Yeah, that they're a prime example of, their team was basically built around, their offense at least was basically built around one guy, and they run the Oregon offense, which is hurry, hurry, hurry. So
yeah,
their defense isn't getting a lot of rest going 3 and out.
And I believe they play Iowa this week. So
they play Iowa this week. We'll see when we get to the
Iowa
Big Ten,
defense really shut down Michigan. So
Florida State has snuck into the first spot in the Atlantic ACC, and they have the tiebreaker on NC State. So it doesn't matter what happens as long as Florida State wins out. NC State, who is has the Heisman front runner, they've been in the top 10, top 5 all year, but they lost that one game to Florida State. And now, as long as Florida State can win this week, which I don't remember who they play off the top of my head, but as long as they play Florida. So if Florida State can beat Florida this week, because it's rivalry
week. That's right. Yes.
So if Florida State can beat Florida this week, they will go to the ACC championship, and NC State is just riding a plane to a bowl game.
Yeah, and Florida's coming off a loss to Alabama, so they're a little shooken up. So
shows you the power of division.
That's why I love college, man. It's so dependent on.
Give me 1 second. I gotta answer this phone call. Hold on.
No, you're good. And then Louisville is sitting at 6-6.
How are they 0-0? They've had 0 conference games. Louisville's been all out of conference.
Oh, apparently so. That's very interesting.
Yeah, you wonder how that happens, and then you see the potential collateral, because you're telling me Louisville couldn't beat some of the teams in the ACC here.
That's interesting, because we've already found, getting on the real side of the game, we already found something wrong, with the revamped mod where the MAC teams are not playing each other either. So that's interesting. I haven't noticed that about Louisville yet. So,
but you could imagine even just one conference game, and winning that would, potentially put them ahead of 4-7 Boston at 3, Boston College at 3, or 3-8 Syracuse, which hey, I love my orange, but
I refuse to call them that. They'll always be the Orange Men.
The Orange Men. That's fair. They were the Orange Men for a very long time when I was going to games there. So as a matter of fact, I also believe in the Orange Men is the proper pronunciation for Syracuse. That would notwithstanding, you're telling me Louisville couldn't beat them?
Well, actually, Louisville went, I believe, 6 games. They were 0-6. So actually, they probably have won. That's interesting to look at if I could. Louisville, I'm pretty sure they went 0-5 or 0-6, because they had a televised game early in the season, and they lost that game. And that was I remember that being the billing for it was, who will win? Who will finally get a win? But that's interesting. But with the relegations, that's all going to get fixed, because the conferences are going to be all leveled out. We're not going to have 14-team conferences, and then 2 or 3 conferences that don't even have a conference championship like the Big 12. So with the relegations coming after this season, we're going to see a lot of promotions and demotions. And it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Sure will. I always, it's maybe the football nerd in me, but I always love looking at standings and being able to break them down with some of these additional filters to consider, when it's not just the record, but you're seeing how do they stack up in the conference? What was the point differential? It starts to give you maybe a clearer picture of how good a team really is.
Yeah. And like Virginia Tech, 0-7, 1-10. I mean, that's
right.
crazy. But again, after the demotions and stuff, which that'll be a live show when we do the demotions and promotions. So that'll be fun to do online, or fun to do live with everyone watching and having their input on. North Carolina, Miami, they snuck back in. North Carolina has a couple recruits. See, like right here, the American doesn't have a conference championship, so they're going to get a couple teams added next year, so that they'll have a conference championship, and we'll go from there. So, I think the biggest shock to me there was USF started off 3-0 and basically have lost 7 straight. UCF still plugging along. UCF has their top 3, top 5 in the offense categories, and they're one of the most balanced offenses. So they're interesting.
Philosophically, I've always believed that it's it's about the second half of your season. That's really when you need to turn it on, and just like in a lot of other sports, but football especially, you could start strong, but if you whimper out, that's not a way to go. I'd rather limp into the season and then figure it out and find another gear, so to speak.
Like Florida State's done that. Florida State was like 3-4.
Yeah, life support almost, and now look at them.
Now they're going to win the or not win, but go to the ACC championship. So
have a chance to win it. So all you need is the chance, and they put themselves in position by having a strong, dominant second half of the season.
Yeah, and Brandon Smith is leading that. He's a recruit that has came in and just revamped that whole defense. And he had a poor first half of the season, and the last 4 or 5 games he's been lighting it up. They beat, who is that? NC State. Yeah, they beat NC State. That's why they're in first. And he sacked Smokey Smith, who's again the Heisman front runner, at least once in that game. I'm pretty sure it was numerous times. But
I made it back.
You can see in the Big 12 right here. I mean, Oklahoma's more than likely going to win because they have the tiebreaker over Texas Tech. But Texas Tech is now number 3 in the nation because Oklahoma lost to TCU. So the Big 12 will definitely be one of the teams that gets, the first sets of promotions.
It's all it takes is one big loss, one big win, completely change the outlook. I mean, just past weekend, all the turnover, and now it's rivalry week, so there's sure to be some other upsets.
I'm pretty sure Oklahoma plays Oklahoma State this week, so that'll be interesting.
It'll be a bounce back game.
We'll see when we get to the schedule, but yeah. And then the Big Ten, basically this week, go ahead and announce now the Saturday night live game or commentary game that Skip will call will be the game. It'll be Ohio State, Michigan.
Very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, and basically because Ohio State's number 1 now, they have everything on the line. They have a chance to go first. They got to win the conference. They got to win the division. So if they lose the division this game, both of them will be 7-1, and Michigan would be 4-0. The tiebreaker would be Michigan will be 4-0 in the division, and Ohio State would be 2-1. I don't know how they don't have 4, but there's Penn State at 0-2 in the division. So I don't know how that's working out.
Who was Michigan's loss again?
They just lost to Iowa.
That's right. It was Iowa.
And you'll see something very, very interesting when we get to the West. But
I'm going to do my best to call that one right down the middle. Clearly some may know that I have some allegiances there, but ultimately I will do my best to be a neutral, partisan commentator for that game.
Well, I will tell you that I have already gotten club seats for Ohio State sideline. So I will definitely be decked out in my Ohio State gear.
Well, they don't see what I'm wearing when I call the game,
Sure.
So very tradition and superstition be damned. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
I'm highly stitious.
I'm also highly stitious.
So in the West, there is a 5-team tie.
Incredible. I love this. This is college football right here.
Okay. So basically it's coming down to the last week. Iowa just beat Michigan which doesn't mean crap for them right now because they still have to win. They don't play Iowa State this week. Now I'm very interested, and I only have one screen here. Very interested who Iowa plays. We'll see in a minute. Anyway, Illinois has had one of the top offenses all year. They're in the tie. Minnesota just slipped into it and leading now. Nebraska is limping with the injury to McQueen, who will not be back this week.
He will not be back.
This is his last week being off.
Ouch. Yeah. I thought he was back this week.
Oh, this is his last week. And I believe then he will be questionable before probable. So if they win and get into the conference championship, he may not even play in that. So we'll see. I'll definitely, as soon as I know the details on that, I'll publish them in the Discord for the group.
Love this West though, because there's no unbeatens, there's no one loss. I mean, this is meaty, gritty.
The West has beat each other up all season.
Yeah, this is very much gritty football right here. You gotta love it.
Yeah, big ugly football.
And some of these teams have beaten some of the best teams in the country. So clearly, it's a good conference. Exactly.
Yeah, and if Iowa lost that game to Michigan, they wouldn't be in this 5-way tie. They'd be down there, at 3 and 4. But yeah, the Big Ten West is very, very interesting to see some games going on this weekend. And Conference USA is what it is. I wish that didn't say. So it looks like this was the one I wanted to show. So Southern Miss is 18 in the nation, but 3rd in Conference USA.
Wild.
Because of that one loss.
One loss. See, this is what makes, and I also love that it's Conference USA, but this is what makes compelling football. They're third. They're third here with that one conference loss.
And UAB is like 20th, so at least they're having the opportunity to possibly represent. But Rice most likely is going to represent the
which is
USA West.
Kind of a travesty, and and like it's hard to say how do you fix a problem like that. Well, I mean, they kind of earned their place there. They're 5-0 in the conference, and that's why
they needed to win.
Right, exactly. And maybe they didn't stack up where they needed to, but against their own, their own backyard, they're king of the mountain.
And the point differential, they're negative by a touchdown. So,
oh my God, I didn't even notice that. That's wild. Defense,
yeah. And then UAB is like plus 120, 170 almost. So.
I mean, that's impressive. And then you look at that and you go, well, golly, UAB might be the best team here when you look at it that way.
Yeah. So what's interesting too is if Southern Miss can finish in the top 25, they'll more than likely get that 3rd star for prestige. So it'll be interesting.
That's
to see
critical. That's huge.
Where they get promoted to, because that's the threshold is 3 stars to get promoted to top, one of the Power 5s.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if they earn that 3rd star and get promoted or not.
And even then, it's still a question. It's not a guarantee, right?
Correct. And I'll go over when we do that episode. I'll go over the rules that I follow and all that. So. Unfortunately, we have to keep one team in the independent conference, so both of these teams will be gone. Most likely, BYU will probably actually stay because they're the worst of these two. So Notre Dame and Army will definitely be in a conference.
Could you demote some of the worst teams to the independents?
Yeah. So what I do
conferences.
Yeah. So I'll just run through it real quick. What I do is I go through all Power 5, and anyone 2-star or less is immediately gone out of the Power 5. They go to the independent pool.
Okay.
Once they're in the independent pool, you can put them wherever you need. And it's just easier to have them all in one spot. So I pull all the two and less star prestige teams out of their Power 5 conferences. And then I go into the non-Power 5 conferences and anyone 3 stars and up. But I start at 5. If there's anyone 5, they're definitely going. But anyone in those things go into the independent pool also. And then we start back at the Power 5 and, based on the star power. So if there's a Conference USA 4-star team, and there's a Power 5 team that's 2, then that 4-star Conference USA team is going to go to a Power 5 team before you work your way down from the prestige stars.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So, then basically, essentially when you're done, all the Power 5 conferences would have 3+, 3 stars and up and all for all the teams. And then, we roll for another 4 or 5 years and do another one. So that gives them basically a recruiting cycle of 4 years to prove that they belong in the Power 5.
Oh, so this will not be an annual.
As of right now, it's not. That's the way I used to do it, was every 5th year. But based on how the board votes, we'll see how we want to go.
Interesting.
For our league.
Yeah. It definitely makes it bigger when there's a gap between, gives teams time to work up.
And how go ahead.
That's why I used to do it every 5th year, because again, it gave you a recruiting cycle to prove that
right, you get a whole class through. Right.
You don't have to try to win with 2-star recruits in a Power 5 conference. You have to actually have the opportunity with that Power 5 prestige of recruiting some guys in.
I mean, it's a logical turnover point. It's you could see where maybe some people looking to up the rivalry ante might encourage or be in favor of an even shorter cycle.
Oh yeah, I get that. So I mean, I might would go like a third. It would be 1, 3, or 5. So
interesting to see how the board would vote.
And you honestly only gain or lose 1 star each season. So it's not like you're going to have a 5-star team drop to a 2-star in 1 year.
Right, exactly. It's not happening overnight.
That was another reason why I did it every 5th year, was because you could lose all 5 stars in 5 years if you sucked for 5 years straight. So.
Right. Well, and clearly these two, at least 2, or you could argue all 3, these are very good teams. But 2 are excellent teams.
Yeah, like Notre Dame's a 3 stars. So I mean, as long as they win out, they'll probably be going to the Pac-12 or Big 12 next year. So
nice.
Now, have you discussed this show at all? Future plans considering the impending college football game?
So we are going to the new college football game, and when we do that, we did on the last podcast, because we told people that if they're interested in being athletic directors on the new game for college school, to go ahead and start letting us know. And I've had 3 to 5 guys contact me about that.
Outstanding. That's excellent.
And then we also, going into the pro season after this second year, which will not be on the new game because we'll be started before, like a month or 2 before the new game comes out. Which is good, because that gives them a year to learn what's wrong with the new game and fix it.
Yeah, get time to fix it, implement any type of bugs.
So it actually works out for us. And if it is really good, that also helps us out too, because then we can stay on that game and just work from there, so we don't have to switch the game every year.
Right.
We're not switching the game every year, especially in the pro season. We're going to stick with the game that we're with for a minimum of 2 seasons, most likely 3 to 5. And if it works out and keeps going, we might stay there for longer than that. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's about building the most consistent product for the league.
Yeah, and these current games, they look good. So
boy,
and that's the thing, is I'm in no rush to get off of NCAA 14, except for the fact that no one can help me right now.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if that makes it a little more complicated, because you could certainly see moving to the new game, getting some football rivals assistance as far as getting all that work done.
Yeah, so that would be the main thing, and that's another thing. We have to see what the new game allows. Will it allow 30 guys? Will it allow 50 guys? Will it allow 130 guys, or will it just allow 12 like the old game did?
Yeah, you got to think there's a cap somewhere.
Yeah, and if 12 is the case, then we might have, we'll still have the ADs that can do what they do, but we'll have basically one person, a conference representative in each conference that their respective teams have to communicate to do their depth charts and all that nonsense. So
yeah, you can like a conference chairman.
Yeah, so it's it basically all boils down to what it is. And the new game will not be on PC. Like they haven't announced that, but it kind of leaked that it would not be on PC.
Look at that! You're breaking news to me right here. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so as of
you
right
heard
now,
it here first, folks.
Yeah. As of right now, it will not be on PC. They haven't announced that officially, but
it's still looking like July. They're not pushing it back. July is still its
yeah.
date.
So it always used to come out. That's how I knew when it would come out, because it would always come out the week of my birthday, and my birthday is the 21st. So it always comes out sometime around there.
I always feel like it came out a month before Madden.
Wait,
yeah, it
your
is.
birthday is July 21st.
Yes,
that's so funny. Mine's the week before on the 14th.
There you go. My brother's is the 11th. So.
Look at that.
July is
Hobbs, your birthday is right in there too, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, sure. July 26th. Sometimes it's on Thanksgiving.
Love it.
But the Mountain West, that's been an interesting conference too. Let me go back.
Another gritty, kind of tough football conference.
And they're another team. I wish I could. The MAC, again, we were discussing while Fry was gone. This is the conference that for some reason, the conference games just are not triggering. So I'm going to try to dismantle the MAC as much as possible too, so that they actually play conference.
Yeah, that's been a problem all year long.
I don't know what's going on with that. We might have more than one independent game team. We might just
dismantle. Working in independent, maybe move some of those to independent instead.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We might just the MAC might basically become our dismantled conference and just leave everybody in independent. But the Mountain West, they've been beating up on each other all season too. We unfortunately haven't gotten to see a lot of them. New Mexico had a good run at the beginning, so they actually got one or two televised games. Utah State has had one or two televised games. Colorado State has had a game against Colorado, I believe.
Yeah, early in the season.
Early on. I wanted to get a Boise State game in just so everybody could see
blue
that ugly
field.
Blue field.
Yep.
Love that blue.
I hate that field.
I would gladly call a game there.
Well, I was hoping they had one in the last week or two, but the game I wanted to, it was last week or the week before, they had a good matchup. I think it was San Jose State. And if they won, they would have gotten in the first in the East, but they lost to San Jose State, I believe. But it was at San Jose State, so didn't get to see the blue field. But Mountain West, there's not any recruits coming to that school, to any of those schools. So Washington, you called their game last week.
Oh,
and I think
that was
kind of fell in love with Lowry.
Oh, I mean, in love, I'm smitten.
He had a hell of a game.
That's a quarterback who can run.
And he's had, he was shaking and baking.
That's right. But he's a quarterback first.
Yeah, he is.
He's an outstanding prospect, and Washington is going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be. I'm telling you right now. You heard it here first too. He's going to be another.
I'll say, listen to it. Future owners sounds like.
Yeah, he's another quarterback that will be in the first draft. So he's proved himself.
And he's going to go early. Him and McNamara are going to go early.
Well, McNamara, and Quinn. Was it Quinn?
I just knew it too earlier. Something Quinn? Glenn
no,
Quinn.
His name's Rhyme.
It's Glenn Quinn.
Glenn Quinn.
Because he's really good also.
Obviously, Smokey Smith, who's leading the Heisman votes.
Well, that without saying, obviously.
Yeah.
He might go first overall.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You don't know?
The Southern Miss quarterback might shock a lot of people, so.
It's possible. There's been some good quarterbacks historically out of there, so.
And I'm surprised Oregon. Oregon turned. They're like Florida State. They had a bad start to the season. They were like 0-3, and they've turned it around. So
I mean, this is a great time for future owners to really start tuning in to Football Rivals as a league, because there's so much going on right now that is going to impact that first pro draft.
Yeah,
correct.
This season, and then one more college season shortly after this, and then it's straight into the draft.
Yep.
Now, is that the official cycle? 2 seasons of college for every pro?
No, that was just so we could get the first 2 out of the way.
Gotcha.
Or not out of the way, but we didn't have the structure for a pro season yet.
Yeah, the product's wasn't quite there.
Yeah. So if we're going to talk game real quick, so the plan was because Maximum Football made all these promises.
Oh, I know that was a disappointing update to see.
I was hoping that by the fall, because they're releasing PC first and then they're going to release console months later. So the plan was to get on Maximum, test out the creation tools, and test the CPU logic. Which I'm in conversations with guys in the Discord that are running the test for Maximum, and they say that the CPU versus CPU logic is very good. So,
and that's all we need. We don't need the great player logic.
Being on the hype train, but is what it is. It hasn't came out yet. It's probably not going to come out for another 60 to 90 days at this point. So it'll definitely be something that we test going on.
If that, I mean, it could be longer.
And I'm afraid I'm one of the biggest fans of it, but I'm afraid they've missed their window because I have a feeling that this college because they're not showing much, I go the other way where people are doubting the college game. I just have a feeling this college game is going to come out and just blow every expectation.
Agreed. I think it's going to be everything and more than what people hoped it was going to be. And I think you're spot on. That's as somebody who's in marketing by day, you get some special sauce cooking. You want to let that simmer as long as you can and don't let too much steam out.
Yeah. And the way it used to work was they would try all the new stuff on NCAA. And then if it was great and everybody loved it, the next year it came out on Madden.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it has great creation tools.
If all they did was reskin Madden with college teams, I'd be excited. I'd be happy.
And I don't
think they're going way above that.
And they've said they did not.
It's a different engine, right? Or maybe the same engine but a different build.
I heard it's going to be the same engine, but they've already said it's going to play. It's going to be like the old college game. It's going to play completely different.
Yeah, and this is a small thing, but it just kind of points to how much effort they're putting into the game. But I was listening to Kirk Herbstreit in an interview the other day, and they were talking about the new NCAA game. And one of the things he mentioned was that they brought in 5 or 6 different play-by-play teams to do announcing. We've always seen in Madden 2 guys, and in college 2 guys. That's it. That's who does all the play-by-play. Or they're bringing in 10 to 12 guys that do play.
I'll be out of a job.
Like a bunch of they're bringing in a bunch of groups and teams to kind of add some difference to these games, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, and with our league growing, which we're getting close to 45,000 views now. So I mean,
nice.
Shout out to everybody. Thanks for all the views, and this league's growing pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for supporting a league in its infancy. It's going to pay off.
Yeah, especially. I don't think people realize how big of a deal the pro payouts are going to be, and the revenue sharing program and everything. Shout out to Baker for he's working on that right now.
Nice.
He's a real wizard back
As
there.
the young folks say, let him cook.
That's right. Let him cook.
He's cooking right now, so he's in the kitchen.
I think I cooked one time.
But Pac-12 South, USC is most likely going to win that. I think they've already played UCLA and they beat them, so that'll be the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And then we get to the SEC.
Oh, Georgia.
There you go. So Georgia's actually above Tennessee.
That'd be a good game.
So Georgia plays Georgia Tech this week, so that should be an easy win for Georgia.
All 3 of Georgia's losses have come inside the SEC. So.
I was just gonna say the same. That's
correct.
Right.
So they play out of conference this week because it's rivalry week, and they should logically they should beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is not running Georgia Tech's offense, so basically they're the flip side of Army. Army's not running their offense and they're dominating, but Georgia Tech's not running their offense and just not playing very well. So
it's interesting when you see they're 5-3. they've only given up 166 points.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is staunch.
And shout out to my son who's at Georgia. He's having a great
shout
year
out.
at Florida State.
Nice.
We got to get his coverage skills better. He's basically a heat-seeking missile right now, so we got to get his coverage skills.
Hey, it's good to have that downhill momentum too.
Yeah, when he made his player, he said, "I just want to go fast and hurt people." We can do that.
And then you look at South Carolina, 2-9, 340 points. They have almost 40 more points of offense than Georgia.
Yeah.
At 2-9.
Well, look at Vanderbilt, 342.
Yeah. Incredible.
Georgia's running their off. Georgia runs Georgia's offense, which is, again, you got to think this is back in 2014, but it is a revamped playbook. So they tried to make them as current as possible, but they run like an option-y type pro offense. And this is actually NC State runs Georgia's offense. So you can see that's two teams that run the same playbook, and they have almost completely different results.
Which just goes to show you, it's not just the playbook, guys. Anybody who's out there saying it's just the playbook, no, it's not. You need to know how to build a team. It all goes into it. If you're going to run a team or be an AD, it's more than just a playbook. It's not a set it and forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be able to.
So there goes the revenge storyline for I. Sorry, it looks like you're going to be playing Georgia.
That's always a good game.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. That's it'll be Georgia and A&M for the SEC conference.
Yeah, I don't see that changing any, especially with Georgia playing out of conference. So that's got to be the end of it.
Florida. Somebody go help Florida out. There you go. There's A&M. I mean, you have the tiebreaker. Even if you lose to Missouri, which you didn't, you won last night in the Week 14 kickoff game. But even if you would have lost, you'd have the tiebreaker against LSU, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You'd have the tiebreaker in division wins. You'd have the tiebreaker in beating LSU. So you guys pretty much could have taken off this week.
And has anyone said defense? Has anyone said defense? Look at that.
I know. That's something we point out each week is the top, out of the top 10 defensive schools, they're almost all teams that have a user recruit on them.
Yeah, we don't have a user recruit in our defense yet. We've got some coming next year.
A&M's loaded up for next year.
Our defense is very stout. We've got the leader in sacks on our team. We had in the game against Mizzou last night 7 sacks and 4 interceptions. The defense is just nasty, and 120 points we've given up compared to Georgia's 166 with their stout defense. So feeling pretty confident.
And again, I've heard rumblings through the league right now that McNamara is looking at possibly going to Bama or LSU. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going. And I will explain how we do that whenever we get to that point. Arkansas had, if you remember in the test season that we did, Arkansas had a submitted middle linebacker that was lighting people up named Lawson.
Nice.
But here's the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's is what it is. They had Georgia Southern was ranked in the top 25 for a little bit, but kind of fell off the map there.
The school that kicked me out has one of the worst offenses.
Texas State does, yes.
Texas State has a terrible offense.
So I posted this in Discord for everybody to see. Smokey got back in the number 1 spot.
Yeah, here he is.
Good for him.
Timmy Thomas at Ohio State, who plays for it all this week. He's been sitting there at 3 and 4 the whole time. So here's a good thing to point out that I was talking about in the Discord earlier. The NC State Buffalo game this week has 3 Heisman candidates.
I was just gonna say a little love for Buffalo, please.
Yeah, NC State and their running back Alvin Thompson, who I believe, no shade to Fry, or to Hobbs, I mean, but right now Alvin Thompson is having a hell of a season.
He's performing.
He's Mike Allstott's illegitimate child. So
yeah,
looks like
he chases. He doesn't shoot for the gap. He chases defenders down.
Yeah. And what's funny, I mean, I had no no part in his creation, which is awesome. That he's come up through the league wearing the gear he wears.
Yeah.
He was just born with it.
Yeah, that guy definitely was born with a cowboy collar.
Yeah. The awards finals, I'll just let these play as they go through. But, again, there's, Maxwell, which is that the quarterback or the player? I think that's the quarterback. No, it's the player. It's basically
practically
a Heisman 2.0 or Heisman version 2. But Smokey's up for the quarterback actually right now. Where's he at? Southern Miss guy is actually falling off of this ranking right now. Oh no, Walter Camp is the rusher of the year.
Doak Walker is running back.
Right.
So there's NC State. Jimmy Black is one of the better. There's your guy, your two guys.
Yeah.
A&M.
Poole the secondary, and then Lane the sack leader.
Yeah. And then, like I said, Jimmy Black right there. He's number 1 in almost every defensive category.
Coaches, pay attention.
Yeah, so he's a senior.
He's a senior. He's gone.
Well, he's a senior, but so what I've told everyone what I've told the guys that are in the owner's room right now that are in there right now is I'm taking the top 10 of every position from both years, and that's going to be the draft class.
So. Nice.
Super seniors.
Yeah. So basically, Jimmy Black he won't play next year because he's a senior.
He's studying abroad.
But he will be in the first draft. So.
What's the broad's name?
I was just going to ask.
Sorry.
What did you say?
19 sacks.
Yeah. I think we might have a commentary duo on our hands.
Hey, go for it. We need a dual commentary. We need to do a straight up line. There he is, Russell Watson, quarterback of the year.
Randy Watson. Sorry.
and he does have that great 6'6" frame. You gotta hope as a pro he can put a little weight on.
Yes, and that will be for players listening. That will be an upgrade. You can bulk up or lean up in between seasons,
which is a great logical, thing for the league. It only makes sense if it's something that you could reasonably do as a player in an off season. There's guys who work on their explosiveness. There are guys who go see trainers to get their passing awareness and accuracy up. These are things you can work on.
And they will be very expensive. Don't get me wrong.
Those camps they aren't free.
Not real money. It will be in league currency, but they will be very expensive to do.
Are we going to have? This is a question we might not have discussed at the answer to, but are we going to be doing league currency through the college or just for pros?
So the college will just have spring training upgrades because the game does them week to week.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also does its own spring training upgrades in game. So the college game, at least this college game that we will be on year 2, has upgrades already. So, but we will do our own spring training upgrades also.
Mm-hmm. But the currency will be used.
The currency will just be for the pros, and it will be based on your salary that you get paid in game. That'll be a third of it. A third of it will be your week to week involvement. You as a real person,
participation in games.
Yes, and then So then the other third, Baker and I are still working on that, and it might be like part of the revenue sharing program where
the secret sauce,
how active you are outside, promoting on social medias, in other Discord, stuff like that. So,
I mean, that's a valuable component to the growth and trajectory of this league. So it makes sense to be a part of it.
Like, you get bring a friend type benefits.
Yeah, and then exactly, we're gonna do referral bonuses, stuff like that. But that kind of stuff will be where you will get real life money for the awards and for winning it all. For like the referral bonuses and stuff like that, that will be in league currency. So
nice.
pro currency. So if you're spending all your time and effort to build up, and you can have multiple players too. Everyone knows that already. But if you're you're focusing all on, if you have 4 guys in the league and you're focusing all your upgrades on one guy, then you should be able to do, to get the most out of that player. So
yeah, it just depends when you have some guys ready to go pro. Where are you prioritizing? Are you gonna, really put the focus on making them the best pro they can be, or are you trying to field a squad of mid-round picks? That could be the difference.
And I will say, we just saw the tight end awards. My son, who won tight end of the year at another league, is making a player. He's in the Discord, so he's making a player. He just has not decided where yet. So
nice.
For anyone that's on a college team that's in the Discord,
tight end wasn't as big. Tight end really blew up in Madden about 4 or 5 Maddens ago.
Yeah.
About this time frame, like, they didn't get as much love as they do nowadays in the current Madden game, in which will probably be the same in the current new college version that's coming out. Tight ends are just the most explosive weapons on the field,
and they upgrade at a higher rate.
Yeah,
they just are super soldiers.
Just impossible mismatches. I know a guy from another league who had a pretty awesome quarterback. They called him the Handsome Bandit. No big deal.
He had a tight end.
Yeah, that guy was a phenomenal tight end. Wavy hair for days.
And we just saw the offensive linemen and stuff too. So the non-skilled players also get the same equal payouts at the end of the year.
Nice.
Or the best non-skilled players. So
that's awesome, because you saw there was a lot of Michigan guys on those linemen.
Yeah. So I'm trying to recruit a guy to our league right now that would be a phenomenal pickup for the league in multiple analytical skills. And he is known for making offensive linemen.
Loving those linemen, yeah.
If you want a guaranteed draft spot.
Oh yeah, you're going to get drafted, especially if you, like I said, if you spend all the time and effort upgrading that guy.
Yeah.
And they could become elite players. Look at in the real pros, you saw guys like Robert Hunt, who a lot of guys don't even know who that is. He got $100 million as a guard.
Yep.
A guard.
Three Aggies in the Thorpe Award. There's just something I noticed. The safety or secondary.
Yeah. So I was going to bring that up, but yeah. So they're doing kickers and punters now, but yeah, that's the Aggies are, for the secondary awards, it's basically the Aggies and the Buckeyes right now.
Yeah.
So.
See, this is why I love this league. There's even money. You could make money as a kicker.
Sure. Because that is considered, that would be in the non-skill position. So yeah.
Heck yeah.
And all those awards are going to be league voted. They're not going to be based on the game. So again, everything's going to be done as a board or a committee type style. So a third of the vote, you get points based on stuff. So a third of your points will come from the game ranking, and then 2/3 of the points will come from the coaches. So, or whoever ends up voting on it.
It's a good way to do it.
The bowl projections, I posted this as a separate video already. I'll just let this keep playing, but it's kind of cool to see. Again, how one loss or win can bump you up or down in your bowl game. So
yeah,
some of these bowls are hilarious though, like the Barstool Arizona Bowl.
Yeah,
Duke's Mayo, love that one.
Virginia is going to have a hell of a running game next year. So that was my one created guy this year. Was I made the running back at Virginia, and nice. I basically made a white Jerome Bettis. He has the same everything that Jerome Bettis had at Notre Dame. So it'll be interesting to see how the game upgrades him this year. And I think he's only like an 88 overall, but it'll be interesting to see how he upgrades. That LSU NC State game should be pretty good.
Yeah.
Georgia, Nebraska.
Yeah, even though LSU's looking rough, it's still LSU,
So at least Nebraska will get a bowl game for McQueen to come back and play in. But
that's good.
At the least.
Potentially Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Oklahoma's playing UCF now, sitting at number 10 instead of playing for the Natty.
Because this is 14, is it the old
yeah, it's the old non-playoff style.
Okay, well, cool. Right now, it takes in.
I
Man,
think
we got to
it
make our way
does have
past.
playoff rankings in here. Like it's coaches, AP, and you can click college football CFP rankings also. So I haven't played a game of Revamped, like a whole season of Revamped. So I think to do the playoffs, you have to actually like pull the file out, load the playoff teams, and load it back in.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's old style right now.
Is this revamped or just 14?
It's revamped.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. It looks good. We can't look ahead to any potential bowl games at this moment. I mean, Georgia is going to be a huge fight, but make it past them, potentially be able to be in the first national championship game, really, of our real seasons running. That'd be a fun honor to be able to have.
And that's what the trade-off. If the first season's user submitted guys, they won't get to play on the new game with those guys.
Yeah,
but they get to be in the first draft class.
I'd say that's a much cooler honor to be in the first draft class.
And then
for sure,
when the new game comes, year 3 of college will be on the new game. But if you're like Fry or like your guy will be in the new game. Your second year will be in the new game.
Yeah, that's true. So I'll get one of each, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then Fry.
It's probably this is a good time to say that A&M will be getting another recruit. I know a hillbilly from a trailer park somewhere who's looking at coming in, getting on the defense. Guy's got a mullet. He wears patriotic armbands everywhere he goes. Just a flying missile of doom. We're going to see where he lines up, but yeah, we do have a recruit coming in. Nope. Nobody knows, but it's definitely the South.
But yeah, and that's the thing. We're not going to. I've said it already in this podcast also, but we're not going to restrict players. If you want to have 20 guys in the pro league, by all means, have 20 guys in the pro league. But if you want to control them, you've got to pay, which it's not much, it's $10. But if you want to pay basically the ability to control them, then you have to pay the $10 to put them in the draft. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they become a CPU player in the
right. Just one per season, right?
Yeah. So you can't make 5 guys in 1 year. But
you can't make an O-line.
If you want to make,
just gonna say, could you just have a whole graduating offensive or defensive line class?
So if you want to make 5 quarterbacks back to back, go for it. But don't complain when it's year 4 of the pro league and none of your quarterbacks are starting at all.
So. Yeah, they're all on the bench. You
definitely want to focus on someone.
But I mean, look at this. Tulsa, like I said, almost none of the user teams are top offensive teams, which is crazy because they're all in the top 25 almost. Like none of those are users.
Has there been the discussion about X Factor and superstar abilities and all that?
So me and Baker have talked about that. We do not believe, at least the first few seasons, we are not going to have that.
I like that better. I think it gets a little crazy.
So where we're at right now is we're not going to have that, but maybe it would be like when I said that the other upgrades are going to be expensive, this would be astronomically expensive to earn an upgrade that is one of those,
or like a guy really is rare air. A guy does become Mahomes. A guy does become Brady. A guy does become Josh Allen. Yeah. If guys all of a sudden are those, then those 3 guys in the league should have it, but not.
Yeah, we're not going to have whatever the max is like 50 or something. We're not going to have 50 guys in the league having abilities.
Right. I think if it's rare air, it makes sense because there really are some of those gems. But overall, a lot of guys are good.
Yeah, so say Smokey Smith wins the Heisman. Next year, say Hobbs wins the Heisman. They both come in and say for the first 3 years of the pro league, one of the Smith makes it to the championship 3 years in a row. Then he's gonna earn the ability for some major upgrade.
Yeah. And it also benefits because you upgrade quicker with a development trait in Madden.
Right.
Yeah. And the way we were thinking about it too is possibly like you just said, if somebody comes out of college and they play both their college years and they win the Heisman both years and they win the Natty both years, then they should come into the draft with something.
Right, because there are those top 5. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the real life drafts right around the corner. And you look at draft boards, and really anything after like the top 8, 10 guys in any given year, they're all second rounders.
Yeah,
it's just there's got to be 32 picks, but ultimately there's only that handful of blue chip guys in any sport in any draft that are game changer difference makers, and they're going to come in and be impact starters from day one. There's only a handful of those guys. And to just pretend that every single guy, because he's a first rounder, is going to be a stud, it's almost a disservice to them.
Yeah, I agree. And so again, I know Smokey listens to the podcast each week. So if you win the Heisman both years, maybe you'll earn something. But I do know that the owners that are in at least one of the owners, which is I'll just say it now, it's Baker, who's basically our what would he be? He's not our CFO. He's like our CEO basically. He's like the VP.
I'd say CFO, not CFO, but
CFO is financial.
Yeah, like a COO.
Yeah, he's basically the COO of the league right now. So
nice. And all of these things, of course, are up to change. If people start to vote or look different as far as the owners and everything go, like what's going to make a good product.
And that's that's what one of the things that we've spoken on numerous times that we think is going to help make the league set the league apart from others.
I'm just a lowly commentator, but I think there's a lot coming for this league that people could be really excited about.
Absolutely, a lot to get on board with.
And like you said, so the owners, if it's year 3 of the of the pro league, and we're sitting at 10 to 12 owners, those 10, we will have an owners meeting each year where they're allowed to bring up any concerns or rule changes or whatever they want to integrate into the league, and it will be voted on by the board. So
yeah, it's not going to be a dictatorship or a one person government.
Yeah, it will not be the commissioner saying I don't like that, unless it's something that I feel would be 1,000% detrimental to the league. Like if all the owners come in one year and say we want 50 X factors in the league, that's a straight up no.
Yeah, there can't be a mutiny either, right?
Yeah. And at that point, I mean, this will be an owner-driven league in the pro league, where the college is going to be more player-led league, but the pro league is going to be more owner-driven. The players are obviously just as important also, but we want to keep the owners happy, but there's an extent to what we're going to do. I mean, we're not going to have certain things.
But there will be perks, right? Like I was talking to Coach Baxter, and he had mentioned that there were some AI portrait opportunities for whether it was top draft picks or big new arrivals and some other cool kind of swaggy things that the league is going to try to offer to really make stars feel like stars and get some rivalries going.
Yeah, and that'll be something cool in the first draft also. I've been talking to
think about that. Like
Baxter about trying to make some of those portraits like he did for the
generally if you've got the first 2 to 3 picks, who's going where, and you can have those kind of set aside and made, and that's got to be an awesome honor to have your name called and then a sweet graphic with your new team on it.
You can see real quick also just side thing here on the defenses. The number one, it looks like the number one pass defense is the Raging Cajuns, who right now in a bowl game would play Bama.
A little bit of a surprise, no? I mean, at 6-4,
I mean, Oklahoma still hasn't had 500 yards, barely have had 400 yards rushed against them. Ohio State's barely had 500.
I don't think that was accurate because Oklahoma. Oh, that was pass. Never mind. You said pass, right? Yeah, pass defense. Apologies.
Yeah, the 400 is rushing. Yeah. And then there you have the A&M is leading total points allowed.
And I believe interceptions, and I think
more than likely sacks also. Actually, I think Iowa was at sack. Yeah, Iowa's leading the sacks.
Ooh, it's quite a few schools up there.
And Iowa has a user player, Raheem Gold at corner, that's having a very good year also.
Mm-hmm.
Corners get paid.
The guy's from Canada, and he went to Iowa.
Loves the cold.
When he picked Iowa, I was shocked. I thought he was definitely going Minnesota.
Yeah.
But the other Canadian has went to Minnesota. The other Canadian in the league has verbally committed to Minnesota.
Oh, well, I thought we had a Michigan running back.
No, J.C. Johnson verbally committed to Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
Which is why I've been trying to show a couple Minnesota games. I think that's pretty much it. I think it's just the schedule is next. And if that's the case, yeah, I'll stop this. If that's the case, I'll just show our actual schedule. So these are the weeknight games this week. A&M, like I said, A&M kicked us off last night, beating Missouri in a snoozer of a defensive contest.
14-0. Very 14-0. Slow game.
Scored their 2 touchdowns early, and then neither team did anything else the rest of the game.
McNamara ran 2 in, then had 3 interceptions and a fumble.
Yeah.
And then Missouri couldn't really ever get moving. Every time they got past the 50, it was an interception. 7 or 8.
If you haven't had a chance to see it, last week Skip Lloyd called the A&M game, and it was a great game.
Very good.
Great game.
400 or 500 views already. So tomorrow night at 8, all games are at 8 p.m. All night games are at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night we get to see Oklahoma trying to earn their way back up a little bit in a Big 12 matchup against Baylor. And then Friday, the Buffalo-NC State game, or as we just discussed, basically the Heisman game, the Heisman nominee game.
Who's going to step up?
That's must-watch football.
Yeah, Buffalo. Come on, Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
I just love to see a school like Buffalo from the outside putting.
Hey, I live in Buffalo year round, so gotta love that they're even getting a chance to play in a game against a team like NC State. It's going to be great football.
It's going to be an uphill battle against that.
It's not in the official canon of the league, but in the Sims, the last 2 years of the Sims to get to where we started at, Buffalo made the Natty, and they won 1 year.
Incredible! I'm going to personally put that on the Skip Lloyd Wall of Fame.
But they're a team in the promotion and demotions for the upcoming relegation. They're a team that should probably be going to a Power 5 league. So I guess geographically they would be in the Big 10.
They need a strong AD. Somebody come in and
maybe
keep Buffalo on the map.
Maybe they could go to the ACC, but most likely the Big 10. Because I'm going to try to still keep it geographical. And then here's the weekend schedule. Bama, Auburn. And again, this is rivalry week, so that's why you see most of these games the way they are.
Yeah.
Bama, Auburn.
Michigan.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yep. SMU, Navy. We have a user-submitted player at Navy, Crone. He's a defensive tackle. He's not active most ever. But figured I'd let him get one more game in on rivalry week. Apparently, I didn't know this, but SMU and Navy is a rivalry game. So
what?
The
Southern Methodist University Mustangs.
It's
the David
labeled
Jones Chrome
in the game. Also, it's labeled as a rivalry. So
wow, I didn't realize
you made the televised games this week.
SMU is in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah,
and I did not.
And we have Iowa, Nebraska. That should be a good game. See if Nebraska can. Again, there's a 5-way tie, and 2 of the teams play each other that week. So.
Yeah, that Ohio State Michigan game is going to have really big ramifications because the winner of that can leapfrog themselves. If it's Michigan, they can leapfrog themselves right back into the college football title picture.
Yeah, I'll be gargling with coffee grounds and motor oil before that game.
So something cool like what you just said. I don't think they would get back in the national championship, but they would definitely knock Ohio State out, obviously, because of the tiebreakers that we discussed earlier.
Well, they would then go on to the title game, right?
I don't think so. I think if Texas Tech plays Iowa State, I think that it would be Texas A&M versus Texas Tech in the Natty.
I meant conference game. They're
yeah. So if Michigan beats Ohio State, they'll go to the conference champion.
And then a win there potentially could help them.
Yeah,
it's an outside.
They would have the tiebreaker because they both would have one loss in the conference, and Ohio State's one loss would be Michigan, so Michigan would jump them.
Could be a real tough game. Remember that's going to be big. Michigan just had a tough showing against Iowa, but we don't know if that was Iowa's defense being more than we realized, or if that was just a bad game for Michigan. But
Iowa's been like Florida State. They had a really rough start, and then they've put it together in the last 5 weeks. Like we were discussing earlier, the Sunday kickoff game, Georgia Tech. Georgia should dominate. Florida should be a good game. And then basically the last 4 games are all in-state games, with the exception of Notre Dame. But yeah, so all day Sunday is in-state games with the exception of Notre Dame and Stanford. But a good lineup of Sunday games. Saturday has 1 or 2 high implication games. Like if Iowa State can beat Texas Tech, that's going to screw Texas Tech's season all up because there is no conference championship in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But that's the schedule. That's the lineup that's been posted out on social medias. So thanks to everyone that has commented on that. And that's pretty much all we have for this week. Are there any other topics you guys want to discuss? We've kind of covered a lot of information.
I was going to say, covered a lot of ground.
I think pretty
feeling good.
What'd you say, Fry?
I said I'm feeling pretty good about it also. I feel like this was a good one. Good podcast. Covered a lot, and there's a lot more to go upcoming seasons.
Yeah, and I don't want to do like we used to do in the old podcast and go like 3 hours.
Yeah. I think
light and tight is good. Just a little over an hour. I think we gave people a lot of great stuff because we know everybody's going to watch it back, even though they weren't able to necessarily catch it all live. So, I mean, that's how I watch them, right? So,
yep.
For an early podcast in an early league, we had like 7 at one time. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty
nice. Yeah, we'll keep working towards it.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, follow along. There's lots and lots of great content on its way.
Correct. And a little birdie told me that someone's working on some more graphics for us for like our primetime games and stuff like that.
Oh, awesome. That'll be great.
Just nice. cool little fringe benefits, like you said, about the prospect, the recruit picks and stuff like that. So if you haven't looked at those, some of them are on our social medias that I'll try to start adding onto the videos, the links below. And I'll start bleeding them into the actual socials also. So
I was going to say, really, if you wanted to end on a high note, you should play some of those clips.
Oh, yeah, I could, but I just closed YouTube. But yeah, so maybe that's how we'll start out next week is play some of the clips, do a montage, get a video of all the shorts put together.
Love it.
But if you guys don't have anything else, we'll hit the road, let everybody get caught up, get some sleep, and be there for the 8 o'clock game tomorrow night.
Sounds good. See you guys in a week.
Cool.
Take care.